Let me see if I like. Yes, I like this one.
You started with type 2.
I know, I meant to.
Type 1.
6 is type 1.
No, 6 is type 2.
I said Miss H is going to. Thank you, though, for. I know. I know. Okay. Solving. Can you see this? So we're writing this right here. Okay, we're solving this thing. We're solving for G. Is that, can you see that okay? Anyone not see it? Okay. I don't think you'd be able to see it in the back, but okay. So the thing is we're solving for G. If G is in the bottom, the first step we have to do is get it out. Okay? The only way you can, and what operation is saying I'm in the bottom? What is a fraction? Don't have to write this down, but if I said 15 over 3, I would say, what is that 3 doing to that 15? Dividing, okay? So that is division. So this is being divided by G plus H. So to get rid of it, I got to do the opposite. Multiply. So my first step when I see that this is in the bottom, I'm just going to rewrite it so it's bigger. My first step is I'm going to multiply both sides by whatever's in the bottom. Now this G is kind of attached to this H. So when I multiply it, I got to multiply by G plus H, the whole thing, to both sides. And that goes to the top on that side, and that allows me to do what with that G plus H on the right side? There, cross it out, okay? So I made a whole big mess, so I'm going to rewrite this so I now know what I'm dealing with. I have G plus H times D equals F plus 3. Now, there's more than one way to solve this or to finish this. What are we thinking? What would you like to do? Anything screaming at you? Okay, Miss H is screaming at her is to divide by D. And this is why I stopped, because you could really go two different directions. You could say, well, it's being times by D, so if I get rid of this D, then I have this broken up. Or some people say, I need to distribute in that D. Okay, which one is screaming to you? Divide. Okay, so we can get rid of this thing by just dividing by D to both sides. Now notice that I divided this whole thing by D. So then I get G plus H equals F plus 3 divided by D. Okay. Notice what happened to my parentheses. Where'd they go? Why are they gone? What's outside of the parentheses? Nothing. If there's nothing outside the parentheses, you don't have to have the parentheses. Okay. The only reason I had to have them here is because of that D. And we're solving for G, so what do I have to do now? Subtract H. And these might look really ugly when we're done, but that's okay. So our final answer is G equals F plus 3 over D minus H. What people usually get really confused about is when that G's in the bottom, what to do. That first step is just to multiply it, okay? Just to multiply it. We good? Okay. So Miss H is kind of indicating if these were numbers over here in the original problem, then down here at the end we would say G equals 5 or G equals 7. But she's saying if you look at there are 4, or actually 5 letters, and or numbers, and all of those are still represented. Nothing went away. Okay. It's actually the exact same rules if they were numbers, but they just don't go away. They just kind of linger. And she called them puzzle pieces. The puzzles were in the wrong place. Okay. Green light. Question. What's that? Type 3. So I'm just going to rewrite it so it's nice and large. 8 over m plus 7 over n equals 9 over p. And they want us to solve for p. What do you notice about p? Where is it? It's on the bottom. How do we get rid of it being on the bottom? Multiply it. So here's a weird thing though. When I multiply, I'll multiply this side and this side. And because there's now something on the outside of the left, we have to kind of put it in parentheses. So this cancels, and I can rewrite this as P parentheses 8 over m plus 7 over n equals 9. Now what do you want to do? Yeah, we got to divide. What are we dividing by? Yeah, that whole brick. This whole brick right here, we're going to divide by. Okay, so I'm going to say divide by 8m plus 7n to both sides. And then this will cancel out, and it's super ugly. Okay, but because they're not numbers and we can't just start combining things, can somebody tell me what my final answer is here? Sorry. So it's P equals that without parentheses. Okay. You don't have to have parentheses. I agree. Why don't we have to have parentheses on this thing? Because there's nothing on the outside. We just got to make sure that we have it all under the division symbol or under in the denominator. These answers can get really ugly, but the rule is if I can get P on one side and everything else on the other, I don't care how ugly it is, I'm done. Wait till we're done. Okay, any questions about type 3? I skipped type 1 because Alex indicated that everyone who had tried it was fine with it. Okay. All right. Word problems. Maybe I should have printed these, huh? How many do we need? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm sorry? I did two-sided. Is there more than one page? I'm sorry? Do you need help, Gabby?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to come sit next to Miss H, or do you want to go back there? This is out. Did it? Didn't get cut off, did it? Okay. Did everyone get one? You didn't get one? Did I not give you? Oh, there we go. Sorry. I don't know. Was that quicker than writing it down? Is that better than writing it down? It got, just this got cut off, right? Okay. So can cans in 180 minutes, it will, so you got to add that in there. Sorry. Doing the best I can. So this section is called rational expressions. It's all about rational expressions. And rational expressions basically means fractions. So the word problem is going to have fractions in it. Okay? And the way that this works is that you're going to have something. You're going to have something. Oh, dear God. Come on. Nice. I don't know. No. That's my video. Let's go with me right over here. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, it is. Oh, maybe I'm lucky here. Dang it. Okay, so what we got to realize is that we're going to have a problem where it's going to be something, and maybe just make a little note at the top of your paper. It's something where A is going to do so much of the job, and B is going to do so much of the job that it equals doing the whole job. And this is saying it takes this much time for A to do one whole job. So for some reason they said A does 5 jobs, then you might have a 5 up here. But usually this is kind of the formula for this problem. Okay? So if we look at the problem, it says a newer machine can produce 5,400 cans in that amount of time. Okay, so it's not saying one job, it's saying how many jobs or cans. How many cans does it do? Okay, in 180 minutes. The older one can do 200, the same number of cans, 270. And then it talks about working together to do 5,400 cans. Okay, so as ugly as this is going to be, let's go over here. Anyone want to guess what this first fraction is going to be? Love it. So 5,400 is the number of jobs over 180. So right now we're saying number of jobs over time. That's the first machine. Okay? Plus, somebody tell me what the second machine's doing. 5,400 is the number of cans over 270. And then it's some kind of total. So then it says what? $180. Yeah, that's what. What do we want? Someone want to guess what this is? It's good. I like 1 divided by x, and I said 1 up here, but we're not doing 1 can. We're doing how many cans? So it's going to be 5,400 divided by x. Now, this is this problem. The variation that they may give you is they may say, I don't know how long it takes this one to do it, but I know this takes this long, and together it takes this long. And then this would be our x. Okay? But if we go to this, if I go to this screen now and I just kind of work here, what do we notice about our variable? Where is it? Say again? Okay. But where is it on the equal side? The bottom. So how do we get rid of things on the bottom? Multiply. So I got to multiply everything by x here. So I'm going to times by x. And something that's kind of different than the last problem is this is actually numbers. Can somebody tell me what we get if we type this plus this in? Let's just change it to a number. Okay, what'd you get? 10,800 is this over that plus that. 54,000 or 5,400 divided by 180 plus 5,400. Why am I allowed to just type this in the calculator? Because they're on the same side and they're all numbers. Okay. This gives us 30. Okay. Plus 20. Okay. And what's 30 plus 20? Thank you. So 50 equals 5400 divided by x multiplied by x. That makes this x go away. So now we're dealing with 50 times x equals 5400 divided by 50. And we get x equals 1,180. 108. Okay. So 108 is the total. Again, be careful because they may throw these and put where that variable is in a different spot. But the setup's the same. You have, and I want to point out to you, it's job first machine plus second machine is going to say machines together. Okay? We good on that one? Bless you. And back to here. Where do I cut it? Nine hours during the pool. Someone, thank you. Did it make that other one go away? Please tell me it didn't go away. So this is just like what we just did, but it's just another variation of it. It's got another curveball. So it's going to be job divided by time plus job divided by time of other thing equals total working together. I haven't even read it, and it disappeared when I clicked on something else. So yeah, I guess. Thanks. So working together. So again, the formula is going to be that this plus this is going to be, this is the together side. This is the first thing and the second thing. Okay. So 2 pumps can drain a certain amount of pool in 3 hours. Takes the older one 9 hours. Now, how many jobs are they talking about here? 1. So that's kind of not super clear, but if they're not telling you how many jobs, then the answer is 1. Okay? So the 2 pumps can do it. 3 is together. So where does 3 go? On the right. That's the together. Okay? The older one can do it in 9 hours. So here's the old one. Let's put the old one here. How long does it take for the new one to do it? What do I put? Where? X right here. Okay. So it's a little bit different than what we just did, but not too much. Okay. What do we do first? I love that idea. So she's saying, let's kick this thing out by subtracting 1 over 9, and let's get the numbers together. Okay, so we have 1 over x equals, what is 1/3 minus 1/9? Say again? 2/9?
Yeah.
Okay, so that equals 2/9. So we have this left over and this left over, which gives us 2/9. Okay, now what? How many of you wanted to keep that as a decimal? What is 2 over 9 in the calculator? Okay, so we got to be careful because that goes on forever. When we do our next step, we have to push that 0.2 and a whole bunch of numbers. Okay, so because this equals 0.2 repeating, you literally, when you do this next step, would have to want to type that 2 in like 15 times. If you type it in 15 times, it'll understand. If you type it in 3 times, it'll think you meant, oh, 0.222, and stop. Okay, so you got to write that a bunch. What do we do now? We got to multiply them by x, right? That's the whole thing, is that when our variable's in the bottom, we got to multiply by x. A lot of people get confused that when that cancels, what's left on that left side? 1. So that doesn't just go away. It's still there. And then what do we have to do? Divide by 2/9. Now, when you do this in the calculator, you got to be careful because we're dividing. If you just type in your calculator 1 divided by 2 divided by 9, it doesn't know which fraction goes with what. It might, say again? Around what? You got to put parentheses around the 2/9 to say that that was the fraction that was together first. So try this real quick. 1 divided by parenthesis, 2 divided by 9 parenthesis. Anyone do that in their head?
Yeah.
Did you get 4.5?
Yes.
Okay. Now, they don't want you to answer this as the fraction, which would be 9/2. They're going to want you to answer this as 4.5. And that's the answer. How many hours does it take? 4.5 hours for the newer one. And if I look at this, it kind of makes sense. The old one took 9 hours. Together, even though the old one kind of sucks, it's still going to help a little bit, right? So when my son helps me sweep the floor, I sweep almost all of it, and he sweeps one little corner. So he's not very good at it. He sucks at sweeping, and I tell him, you suck at sweeping. And he starts to cry. My wife yells at me. Okay, but at least he does some part of it. I know. Me or him?
Him.
Oh. Okay, we have one more, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people hate these ones, but it's actually not that bad once you, oh, it's this tight. Okay, yeah, these ones are not bad at all. Where'd it go? So there are actually two types in this. And what I'm going to advise is that if you get the other type, I usually just skip it and just keep making it so you have this type. Does anybody know what happens when you ride on a river? Anyone ever gone on a river trip? Anybody? Okay. What do they do when you go on a river trip? Like you go to Trader Joe's. You have to rent the canoe, and then you ride it downstream, and then you have to paddle back upstream to get back to the place to return it, right? Sorry. Right? No, it's not right. Trader Joe's says, we're not going to make you ride back because it's really hard to paddle against the water. Okay? So basically what's happening is when you go downriver, the current does what? Goes with you and speeds you up. Okay? So you might be paddling really hard and you're like flying down the river. And then then you turn around and you realize your son threw his binky out of the boat onto the shore. And your wife says, we need to go back and get it. And you say, okay, honey. And you turn around and now you're paddling the same amount of effort, and how fast are you going up the shore? Right, you're going really slow, even though it's just as hard because now you're working against the current. That's what this question is about, okay? Anytime you have a distant rate time problem, you're always going to make a chart. Thank you. Yeah, we're always going to make a chart. And that chart is going to be distance, oh my gosh, that made me dizzy, rate, time, okay? And we're always going to compare two things, okay? And the truth is that distance equals rate times time. The two things we're going to compare. It's got a top speed of 20, okay? The two things on these type problems is you're going to go with the water and you're going to go against it. Okay. The other type of distance rate time problems, you might say bus 1, bus 2, or two things that you're comparing, but this is with the water against it. So his boat can travel 20 miles per hour if we're not on a river. Okay, that's how much energy that boat can put out. While traveling on the river, his top speed is 40 miles upstream. Wait, he went 40 miles upstream. So which one is that, distance rate or time? So the 40 miles upstream, it's distance. He went 40 miles upstream. Now it's a little bit different. So upstream means going against it. He went up the stream. In the same amount of time, he went 60 miles downstream. So where does the 60 go? The width, okay? Oh, this one's really different. Oh, okay. So then his top speed is, the boat can go 20, okay? And what we're looking for is the current. So when it comes to the rate, the boat goes 20 no matter whether he's going upstream or downstream, except the current is going to do what to him? Speed him up on which one? The width. How do I write speed up? Plus, let's say C for current, which means the other one's going to be minus C. Okay? Oh, it's because this is irrational. Kids don't usually ask for this one. That's why it's throwing me off. Okay. So the formula for this is we're going to rearrange this because we don't know what the time is. Okay? The only thing we know that's true about the time is what? Same amount, which means what? What's the word for same amount of time? Math. Equals. All I know is that my T1 equaled my T2. Okay? Or whatever's in this box equals whatever's in this box. So I'm going to rewrite this. So the formula is T1 minus T2. But if I rewrite this, and you don't have to write this down except after I do this next step. If I want to solve for T, what do I do? By? Nope. R. So I'm going to divide by R. So I get T equals D divided by R. So that's kind of the formula. So this formula here means really distance of the first thing divided by the rate equals distance of the second one divided by rate. I wrote way too big for what I need to do next. Okay? But, so here's the $1 million. So this is kind of the, when you do this problem, that's kind of the formula you're going to want to use. I lied about the chart. Kind of don't need it. So what is our first distance? And what is the rate of that? Okay, so my formula is going to be 60 over 20 plus C equals, what's my second distance? Over 20 minus C. Okay, again, they're trying to create you to work with fractions or things in the bottom. Now, when you have them in both sides, like I do here, how do we solve this thing? You just skip it? Okay. Nope. Nice. How do we solve this? What do you think? So we had the, anytime our variable that we want is in the bottom, okay.
Why? Why do you do this?
You're the one who requested it to not be crooked.
It's still crooked. Just finish the note. Stop that. Okay.
Okay. Exactly. Okay, so to get rid of this C on the bottom, I'm going to do what? I'm going to multiply by it. So I'm going to multiply this side by 20 plus C and this side by 20 plus C. Okay, which is going to make this one gone. So then I have 60 equals 40 over 20 minus C times 20 plus C. I have to put this in parentheses because there's stuff on the outside. And then how do I get rid of the other one? This one. B. Multiply by that. Okay. Now, I would really like, is it Shio and me? I would really like us to do that in one step. Okay. So tell me how you would write that in one step. Okay, I hate that language, but you're right. Okay.
What do you want us to say? X multiply? I need you to pick another word.
So what I want you to see is to get rid of this, I'm going to times it to this side, right? And to get rid of this, I'm going to times it to this side. So what I end up with is, if you can do this in one step, is 60, and the thing that was in the bottom goes there, and the 40 gets the thing that was in the bottom, and it goes there. Okay. In 8th grade, they call it cross multiplication. The reason I hate that is because a lot of people, once they learn that, started just doing it all the time when you weren't allowed to. Okay. And then the 60 needs to get, this time we do need to distribute it in, because the C is locked up in that parenthesis. 60 times 20, is that 1200? Minus 60C equals, is that 800? Can't figure out who's annoying, me or
You.
Oh, okay. Glad we clarified. Then what? Okay, we solve it. We got C's on both sides, so I'm going to add 60C. So I get 1200 equals 800 plus 100C, subtract 800. 400 equals 100C, divide by 100, and C equals 4. So the current is, did I make a mistake?
No.
Okay. So the current is 4. The boat has to be faster than the current, otherwise you couldn't work against it. What was the boat speed? I can't remember. 20. Okay, so I don't want you to do this next problem, but I kind of jumped around this and did it really the long way. So I'm going to show you the quicker way of doing these. So when I get a new problem, I would treat it like this. I would just go, oh, I can't right here. I would go the distance I don't know why that stopped working for me. But I would look at this problem and I go, distance of the first thing is 120. Distance of the second thing, was 70. Okay, so I would say 120, 70. Okay, now they're telling me that it's 30 miles per hour slower than the other one. Okay, so I would say 120, 70. I would say 120. I would just go straight to this. The distance of the other one was, what did I say? Really messing me up, board. 70. So 120 distance gave me 70. They say that this one's 30 miles per hour slower. So which one's the slower one, 120 or 70? So that means that this one is x minus 30 and that this one is just x. Okay. So you don't need to make the whole chart and go through all that. I thought we were kind of dealing with another problem. It doesn't necessarily make it wrong. There are other ones where we have to do that, but I like just setting it up. Distance over rate equals distance over rate of the other thing and move on from there. Okay. If you get stuck in those setups, let us know, okay? By all means, the homework, you can ask questions. You can use your notes. It's not set up for, it's not like a quiz. One other thing I got to point out, if knowledge checks pops up, you have to do them, okay? So it gets in your way of getting topics done. It gives you time on the pie, but it's just kind of like a, oh man, unlucky, I got to do a knowledge check this week. Also, the knowledge checks, the 110, 190, 270, we still have to do these if you're thinking you're trying to get to 270. If you don't think you're going to finish, then you can ignore this, okay? But if you want to try to finish and be able to go to Columbus State and take 1148, you have to do these as well as you hit them, okay? Some of you were asking me, like, I really wanted to finish, and now you're slowing me down. Well, I'm more worried about you passing than finishing at this point. And some of the Columbus State curriculums, I think we talked. Did we talk? Some of the Columbus State curriculums, like if you want that stats class, you don't have to finish blue. You just had to finish white, which everyone's done. Okay. So I know some of you are like, no, I need to finish this, but truthfully, some of you don't. Okay. And that's for you to kind of look up and find out. Right now, I'm worried about you passing and graduating high school. Make sure you hit that time. I'm going to stop talking.